Okay, at this time I welcome everybody to the Jeff West Board of Education, March 4th, 2026 school board meeting. Do we have any comments from patrons and guests?
Jeff and I'll so you know, maybe.
Yeah, you mind coming close? So this will pick you up. Let me get this out of the way.
Okay. Jeff Van Petten, most of you know who I am. And I sat in your seats for 20 years, and it's a thankless job. And I wanted to come tell you, thank you for what you're doing. I'm sorry the bond issue failed, and we need to, as a community, we need to get to work on the next one. It'll be a while before it can be done. But just thank you and keep your chins up. And if I can be of any assistance, call me. I know I thought about coming to some of the meetings. I thought, things were going well, but if I can be of assistance to any of you or offer advice, then you know where I'm at. But
I want to thank you,
very
Jeff,
much.
because you did it for me when I was a student. So I want to thank you too. You did a great job.
Thank you.
Yep.
Thank you.
Thank you,
That's
Jeff.
all.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jeff.
Anybody else? With that, we'll move.
Matt,
Yep.
I'd just like to say, I thank you also for all your time you guys put into this. But, and I know we need to move on and we need to hurry and get another bond out there. I think the majority of the people have said that they realize that we do need a bond. We do need to fix the repairs, and we do need to take care of the things that really need to be taken care of here at Jeff West. But those enhancements and those wants and wishes that we'd all like to have, I think it was real clear anyway, I heard it at the brainstorming meetings, and then we heard it again with the vote. We can't afford that right now. So we'd like for you to consider that when you're thinking about the new bond. And again, we're here to help, because we would like to get a bond approved. We felt really bad about this, the way we had to do this one, but in the end, there was things that we had said no to, but it wasn't heard. So.
Thank you. And we're going to approach this one far different. Because the last two times didn't work. So we have to figure out who we need to talk to, how we need to, and how it needs to come across and presented. We do have some essential needs, and we're going to talk about it just a little bit later on, but we do have some essential needs that, I met with Dr. Nuenswander this afternoon, about an hour and a half, 42 hours before we got here. And we do well. We actually really do well, and he's going to present some finances, but we are at the point in time where it's just, we need a little more. So thank you. And once again, we're doing it different this next time. And we need to figure out how to reach out to those constituents.
And I think you have some very good information that you've gathered from the patrons in those meetings. They weren't worthless. You gathered a lot of information that I think people wanted you to hear.
Yeah.
So please use that.
Yeah. And I haven't spoke to any of these guys about it, but there's regrets on our end. I mean, there's some regrets. I can tell you I got some, and I'm sure they do. So we're just gonna have to step back and punt. I mean, we don't give up, Jeff didn't give up on us, so we're not gonna give up on the students we got now.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Dave.
I don't have anything else to compare the question to, but I think when they did the study on internet to the home people in the district, was around 50%.
The internet.
How many of
How
our
many people have
constituents
internet?
have internet, you mean?
Yes.
I don't know.
I saw it was like 40 some or 50% did not.
Yeah,
That must have been before me.
I don't know, but once again,
Can I
Okay.
ask, where would you go if somebody doesn't have internet? Where should the information be for those people?
Can't answer that question. We didn't get any mailers.
Okay,
And
so
we
meal
live-
is good.
But
We didn't get anything. We got it from friends.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah,
We had to go, instead of Hoyt, we had to go.
Yeah, you guys are in Jackson County.
We would have driven to Hoyt to vote.
yeah, yeah,
But my point is,
yeah, and that's a bridge we need to cross, or we need to build. We don't need to cross, it's a bridge we need to build.
yeah, even guys aren't my age, 70 years old, I work with a lot of guys.
Yeah.
And you can send it to them email, you can send a text. They never look at it.
No, I get it, but, yes, we're gonna, I mean. We're gonna have to do something, but we're definitely gonna have to. Step back and evaluate and figure out how to. Cut it down, I mean, that's obvious, and reach out to. More people. And educate, or get feedback, I get it, so, but, and we're gonna talk briefly, I mean, we got it in our agenda to. Where do we go from here? Yeah, I don't have a number, oh, I do, it's in the board issue, so. Or good facilities, I guess. Any more, moving on? Can we get an approval? Can I get approval to, approve the agenda?
So moved.
Second. All in favor?
You John can have it.
No. Gonna get a motion for the consent agenda.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor? 7-0. Academic reports, Brenna is not here, just, so. We can read hers if we wanna go wrong.
Good evening. I have a little bit of show and tell for you tonight. You have the written report and you can see our journalism students did well. Our George got second as a team in Scholastic Regional and placed 20 students placed in 40 net events and they're going to represent us at state. I'm excited to see what they do there. Mrs. Debbie Wolf took a group of students to a conference called Empower Me. A lot of them were at-risk students and the day focused on job readiness, self-advocacy, planning for life after high school. And she came back so excited that each of those kids got chosen to lead something throughout the day of all the students she thought that she took. And they just came back with such a feeling of confidence and that we can do these things. And I don't know if the pictures have made it to Facebook yet, but I have some that you can kind of look at as we're talking here. So it was a neat day, very neat. I'm gonna steal this one back and let you have that one. We've been working on our IPS conferences. We have about 92% of our students that have presented those. And Autumn Tennant has volunteered to kind of show you her so you can see what an electronic portfolio looks like that the students are putting together in Zello. And it kind of is an accumulation of here's my strengths, here's my weaknesses, here's my learning styles, here's what I'm looking at, what I'm exploring for careers. So if you'll join me over here, we'll kind of go through what a student's electronic portfolio looks like and let you guys see it.
Hi,
Hello.
I'm Autumn Tennant, and this is my IPS. The picture that you see is from FFA, our club, actually. We went to Rocky Road Creamery last semester. It was a really fun time, and we judged cows. My personality style is a helper or social, and as it says, helpers enjoy teaching and coaching. Caring for people and definitely counts them. My learning style is 45% tactile, so I learn by my hands. My desired skills, definitely helping people, learning and listening, managing. So a whole bunch of that.
So each of these things she's sharing, there's little inventories they take within there that they answer questions and then it gives them to speak back.
Yeah, so like Ms. Briggs was saying, my personality and learning style, it had a set of like 50 questions that you would go through and you would answer. So kind of like a survey, and then it gave back, as I said, I'm a helper and tactile. Also with those, it gave me some careers to look forward to and to like save. So that's why they're saved here. Most of the ones that I'm looking forward to are anesthesiologists and nurse anesthetics. Like I just said, I like helping people. My nurse, or my nurse. Sorry, I'm nervous. My aunt is a nurse anesthetic anesthesiast, and I look up to her very much. I'm drawn to the medical field because I want to make people feel safe and cared for during especially vulnerable moments in their lives. My saved majors, I can guess that you guys can guess. Schools, I was definitely thinking about going to Arizona after school, just because I have family out there who have all gone to medical school. So they know what they're doing, they can help me. Another one, I don't have it on here, but I was definitely thinking about Washburn after we toured it.
And within Zello, within those schools, they can click down and it will compare student to teacher ratio, the size of the campus. You can go on and look at what classes are needed in a career. So it gives you a lot more information, what the tuition is, for the past year or so. Not the coming up one, but it gives them all kinds of information that they can compare. So, and there's just nationwide schools that they can go. Most of the Kansas ones are in there, but then everywhere else too, so we'll learn about them.
Yes. It also gave us a whole bunch of scholarships that we can look at, just easy ones that cover full tuition. And I just have a couple that I've saved. I don't know if I go over those and go past those. My experiences, I actually entered these myself. This wasn't like a survey, obviously. But I go here. I'm a sophomore. I worked as a dog trainer and property caretaker at Redefined Dog Training. But before that, I was a volunteer and we walked dogs and we continue doing that Saturdays. Post-secondary. After high school, I'm planning on going to Washburn Tech for my CNA. I have not taken the entrance test yet. I plan to complete at least one job shadow in a medical setting by the end of the school year. I'm still meeting the requirements. I have not taken the SAT or ACT yet. I'm still meeting the requirements for the entrance to my desired career path. We have visited Washburn University, and I'm planning on visiting the University of Arizona or some universities out there. I have not considered any AP classes yet, but I'm definitely considering them now. My goal was to reach the diamond level, which was 150 plus hours of voluntary work, and I have achieved it. I've gone beyond that. These are my skills. Yeah. And my interests. I kind of just went through and clicked what I was interested in. And it gave them numerous to choose from, so. I'm in 3 clubs, FFA, FCLA, and Pet Club. This was me at work with a goat there. That was my favorite goat. Until I had the baby goat, then that was my favorite. My plan was to be an anesthesiologist. My current GPA is 3.4. I am on track to graduate with my class, and I am planning to graduate with a qualified admissions path minimum. I got told by my advisory teacher that I should start going towards the Kansas Honor Scholar. What she said.
Similar from life.
Which is the high GPA, obviously, or 30 plus on the ACT. I do a lot of studying and I use my hands a lot when I practice problems, and like I take notes over and over and over. So that's why I like when my teachers like post the notes on Google Classroom, and I could go back and take notes over it again. And it helps me a lot to take notes and do that. So my goals Retire by 60 with 70 million. Anyone else in here?
I love that. Yes. Share with me.
Yeah.
School work
Right.
year, 12 plus years for anesthesiologists, which will set me back 2 million. But I think eventually it will be worth it. Obviously, that's long term. One of my long term, short term, all around term was be a good person, compliment people, smile, and help old ladies.
Thanks, thanks.
My long-term goal is to become an anesthesiologist. I'm currently exploring both the physician path, pre-med to medical school, and the nursing path, CNA to RNA to CRNA, to determine what aligns best with my strengths and my long-term goals. The retirement activities. I'm interested in high demand medical careers that provide stability and strong income. Well, I'm gonna do what I love doing. My matchmaker, which was another one of those surveys, and this is what I came up with. Plastic surgeon. Good. I'll put people to sleep, but I'm not gonna work on it. My ways to get involved: FFA, FCCLA, pep club. It helps me build teamwork and leadership skills. And I was thinking about going on to be an officer in one of those. Employability skills. I'm not gonna read all that, 'cause I'm pretty sure you guys don't hear me wrong about that. But writing skills, verbal skills, positive attitude, and critical thinking. And those are all areas that I need to work on, because sometimes I just do things instead of think about it.
Like what?
We're all guilty.
I try my best to meet my expectations. And try to continue my best to strengthen them. My annual strengths, attendance, you know that for sure. I barely miss school. Appearance and hygiene, technology. I'm very good with computers and phones and I'm dependable. I complete my assignments on time. And I do my assignments well. I mean, I have 2 B's. All the rest of the A's. My action plan was take the ACT by the end of this year, if possible. Schedule a CNA entrance test. Complete 1 job shadow. Research pre-med first nursing path, and apply for at least 3 scholarships. And consider 1 AP class text take next year. And that's the end of my presentation. Thank you.
Great job.
Good.
Great job.
There is no doubt, there is no doubt in my mind that you will complete that. You know?
Yep.
When you get your millions, send a few over here.
I just wanted you, thank you. Wanted you to see what they're putting together, and then we, on our IPS days, instead of the parent teacher conferences, a parent comes in and the student shared that with the parent and an advisory teacher. And if there's things that she said, her advisory teacher said, hey, maybe you need to work on that next pathway over, just to get some of that feedback, and have the parent input there as they look at courses and their desired next steps. So
What grade level does this start at?
they have started doing some things in the middle school with the IPS process. And then we refine what we want our 9th through 11th graders to do. We don't have our seniors do it because we have them do the mock interviews. But in their 2nd semester English class, we have the seniors do a senior project where they give a presentation about next steps. What's my plan when I leave Jeff West? And if that doesn't work, what's my backup plan? And so they do that as part of their English class, so that we know they're ready to take those next steps. Other questions?
Thank
Thank
you,
you.
Anna. Thank you. Made me realize how many blanks my son needs to fill in. I'm like, wait, no, there's mine gonna slap.
Now, don't go home and take it out on your kids.
He's already.
All summer long, she can't wait for school to start.
I love
Professionals.
Good.
You have an interpreting bit.
I didn't bring kindergarten.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, mine's not as much fun, it's not as cool. Good, glad to be here. I do have 3 new students coming in, so there, yeah. So you see those numbers there, we've hit 320 for the first time, maybe in my 15 years. This is probably the biggest group we've had. That 320 is just elementary. We did in the preschool grow by 2. We lost 1, gained 2, so we grew by 1 overall. Those 3 new students, 2 of them are new Keystone employees that are bringing their kids with them to Jeff West from where they're moving from. So they're coming on board as Keystone staff, and we're picking up a couple of kiddos. And I think it's worth saying those are our 3 largest classes. There's those that's where we get everyone right now. So, but anyway, looking to the future, early roundup numbers at the preschool. I'm going to say 35, but it changes by the moment. So by the 39, there you go. So it just keeps moving a little bit. Those are early numbers where you've sent out the link to sign up for Roundup. We were 20 something that are committed to coming to Roundup. Of course, that's not July enrollment, but those are some early numbers. Kindergarten, picked another one up tonight at the book fair, found them roaming around and said, hey, be a kindergartner. So we're at 41. No, not really. We were looking for this and we actually talked about him today. And mom walked in and says, I need to get on that list. It's like, yes, you do. So we're at 41. Again, signed up for Roundup. We'll see who ends up coming and things like that. So we're off to a good start. Advertisements going on, social media is going on, all the things to attract. Pancake feed, I'll be hanging out with a table and my computer ready to sign kids up after Pancake Saturday. Parent teacher conferences went really well. Elementary. Now our parent teacher conferences are just one day in February. So we invite families to bring them. So out of 20 kids, we might invite 10. Hey, we would really like to see you come and talk. If someone else wants to come, we're happy to sit down with them. But if you're not invited, that's a good thing. So, and then there's Skyward and phone calls and emails, all the things you could always be in touch with. So we have 94% at the elementary, 95 at the preschool of the invited families. So it was a good turnout, those that were invited. And we are in the middle of Read Across America Week. Tomorrow is Dressed Like a Student Day, so I encourage you to swing by, check it out. I've got plans. I did hear there's a Mr. Sturgeon and Mr. Korb showing up, so I'm excited to see how many of those, because they're going to dress like teachers, so I'm looking forward to that. But in the reading realm of things, the book fair was tonight. There is out on social media one of those freeze frame videos of 3rd grade reading, so the camera moves through the room and all the kids are frozen doing. So I invite you to go find that, having some fun around reading besides just doing reading, just having fun with it. Dr. Seuss birthday cake, things like that. Kindergarten music program was a hit, or will be a hit. Sorry, we had our 1st grade program. Kindergarten music program's coming up this month after spring break. And our preschool roundup, which is new to everyone, will be March 30th in Ozaki. So that's when the families actually come in and we do a little screener and have cookies and meet the new cubs. So want to give a shout out to, you probably heard or gotten reports on our KISA accreditation. Just want to give a shout out to Haley and the DLT for everything they did to make that a successful day. It went really well. Questions? Thank you.
Thank you.
Evening, guys. Some highlights as the winter sports season starts to come to an end here. We had four girls wrestlers finish the top 8 of regionals in Tonganoxie. Area Under finished 3rd, Page Fetch 4th, Sophie Water 6th, and Lennox Dooley 8th. 2 boys finished in the top 4 regionals at Holton. Osiris Under 1st, Corbin Mayer 4th. High school girls basketball, they ended their regular season with a 15-8 record. Hosted Maranatha that first round of playoffs, beat them. They're currently down to Riley County right now. I just look at the score. High school boys finished their regular season with a record of 15-10. Hosted Marysville first round of sub-state and then lost to Perry last night, ending their season after a long, good season for the boys team. Spring sports getting started here. We've got some numbers that were interested. These are kind of preliminary. They might change, fluctuate as sports actually start. Track and field had 39 sign up. Baseball had 22. Softball 34. And boys golf 22. And the middle school track just had their sign ups, and 102 kids are signed up to do middle school track. So be all hands on deck. Track.
Holy cow.
Yeah, a lot of kids out.
It's a big class.
High school Summer's Bowl, they finished their season competing at regionals hard. And then middle school boys basketball also finished at their league tournaments. Eighth grade finished 10th and seventh grade finished third. Upcoming highlights, not so longer upcoming. We sent 6 wrestlers to state in Salina. Sophie Waters, Ariana Unruh, Paige Fetch, Lennox Dooley, Corbin Mayer, and Osiris Anu. We've had Sophie Waters medal 6th place, and Osiris Unruh is our 4A state champion. That was an awesome weekend for both of them to get medals and Osiris bring home. Spring sports, they started practice this Monday. Competitions are going to start the week we return back from spring break. Middle school starts practice next week for track. High school theater has their spring play on the calendar for March 28th. It'll start at 7 p.m. And we also added an additional date on March 29th at 4 p.m. Staff needs, we're still looking for a middle school assistant volleyball coach. And just a shout out to our basketball coaches. Basketball is a very long season, put a lot of work and a lot of hours in. So shout out to them for all the work they've done for these past 3 months. Yeah.
And you too. Yeah.
Thank you, Cole.
You said that they added a date for the March, or for the spring play to the 20, what'd you say?
29th.
29th.
Yeah, it's Palm Sunday, so we have parents fill out a form to make sure that everyone's okay with adding that date. They got all the forms back and parents are okay with it. So,
Okay. What is the play this year?
Clue. Yeah, a little murder mystery action going on.
What's the score of the girls' game?
It was 30. Was it
Oh, sorry, I thought you just knew.
39 to 19, I think was the last one. I checked.
49 to 13 was the last,
Was half.
at halftime.
All right,
Thank you. Thank you.
thank
Cole.
you.
We're gonna move on to Keystone. What do you got, John?
Actually, hired a JDLA administrator.
Did, okay,
She's from Texas, I believe. Regina Little, that's
okay.
her name. And, money wise, it's a wash. She did get a moving package, a small moving package. They didn't go with my idea since they're hiring a moving company to move from Ozaki to Oskaloosa, and I said, just go her on a pallet, wrap her up.
Wonder why they didn't do that.
I thought we could get it as part of the package. They may be coming back asking for some more money, not a lot.
For
Yeah.
the building or for?
Yeah, they've used all their contingency funds, but part of it is the moving. And I can't remember what it was for, but they're working on getting it all down, furnishings, things like that. They're getting other bids. So right now, the worst case scenario, the worst case scenario, but they're gonna look and try and get it under what they had budgeted for that. And then if they can't, they may come back to us. And worst case scenario, our share, I think was 24,000 if they need it, but I'm assuming that they're going to get better.
And that project came in under to begin with.
Yes, yeah, I want to say we had said not to exceed 4, and they were sitting around 3.6, 3.7-ish.
Yeah.
But what they're doing is not included in the scope of that, is my understanding. So they don't want to just use the money because they have it.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, part of what, like, so with our bond, with those classrooms, like at the elementary, there's furniture, fixtures, and equipment that is figured into that. So that's new desks, chocolate, things like that. Well, to keep this below, they did not include furniture, fixtures, and equipment. So there's some stuff at Ozaki that might be or might not. So what John was referring to is, okay, now we got to look at some furniture, fixture, and equipment. And this afternoon, I think they got them down to like 50,000, maybe. With the types of furniture, and so if we're 19% of that, that's around 10,000. So they're still negotiating.
Yeah.
But
The only other thing was they're actually having pretty good luck hiring people. I know they hired a special ed teacher for Jeff West for next year. I think they've had a couple, I know they've had at least 2 special ed teachers that they've hired, and I don't know. I think they're both for next year. But they're actually having a lot of luck filling positions right now, so.
Of course they are.
Across, the board-
Yeah, I don't know what the big deal is.
They are. Kelly's gone.
across the board or in our district?
And across the board, really, yeah.
And the one that Wes referred to that's bringing kids. She actually starts, I think, here at the high school the day after spring break.
That's right.
From Texas.
Mhm.
No, oh, she's from Oklahoma.
Oklahoma, yeah.
Yeah, we're stealing from the south.
That's fine.
Whatever we gotta do to get them here.
That's fine.
I guess we'll move on to the board issues. 5.1, Jeff West AI project update.
So.
So while they're getting ready, we've been part of a grant to work with, there's some urban districts, some suburban districts, and some rural districts, and we were selected to be one of the rural districts. And we have Brooklyn Petrie and Sean and Mary that are here. Brenna and Rhonda are on that team. I just kind of show up to learn as much as I can, but it's really to explore. We all know artificial intelligence is going to be huge. They're part of this grant to explore wide open, then how do we use it the best we can? So we have a showcase next Tuesday in Lawrence, a lot of those districts coming together, so Sean and Mary wanted to come and share what they're gonna, this is your dry run.
This is our trial run.
Trial run, so I'm just gonna turn it over to these two.
All right, so, yes, we are Jeff West and we are on an innovation journey. We have this wonderful picture that, Mr. Newenswander, or Dr. Newenswander, AI'd of us one day when we were all over having a meeting. Took a picture of us and then just AI'd it into, I would love to look at that good. So the three of us are the education team. Also have Mrs. Dooley, Mrs. Fleece, and Dr. Newenswander on the team. So there's all of us working together. We had come up with this quote: if you don't like change, you're going to be irrelevant. You'll like being irrelevant even less. And felt like that is a good way to explain where we have to keep moving moving forward with the future. Things that excited us is the things that, like, we found out that if you think it, you can do it, which I think for this kind of always say this, but really if you really work it, it re-energizes, gives you an opportunity to think outside the box a little bit, think of some different ways of teaching and ways you can actually add to that. And AI isn't going away, whether we like it or not, it's here. And so embracing it and figuring out how to make it work for us, and also how to help our students to navigate without just making it the scapegoat is better than leaving it out there and then having them just try all these different things. Some of the things that have surprised us, and I don't know if you can jump in anytime, the students seem to be ready to try new things. Parents aren't pushing back, and we'll talk about that in just a little bit when we get to mine. And they jump to the conclusion that everything they see is AI. Like, they all look at a picture and I had to really try to work with them on the fact that, no, that's real. That one is real. And helping them to differentiate and really learn to be able to figure out that this is real, but then this isn't. And I think especially as we continue to work with students, we're going to have to get better at that, because whether we like it or not, there is a lot of things out there that are inaccurate. And they have to be able to they have to be able to discern that and figure that out. And that's going to be the future. I mean, we all have to do it, and they're going to have to as well. So we have that going. I'll go ahead and cover Brooklyn's real quick. Like I said, she's with the Substate tonight, so she couldn't be here. one of the projects that she did with her students is had them pick us some music and then develop a cover for an album using their AI skills. She does a little bit more with not chatbots, chatbots. She does a little more with chatbots and has them talk to a chatbot to figure out where they want to go and you know, what can I do with this art and things like that. She would really gets into all of that. She would do a much better job of being able to explain all the things that she does with it. These are standards that she meets with some of the AI that she has done so far. And then again, the process and we only get like 15 minutes when we actually do this presentation, so I'm sure we'll all be talking plenty quickly to get through everything. But she has done quite a few different things with her students that have an AI piece to them. Not everything that we do is AI, only AI. It's you know, it might be one piece of it or where we go with it. And these are some of the covers that students have done that they came up with for their work. And then there's children.
We're doing the teacher student side of it, so we're trying to move forward into like, I think I want to use AI to beef up assessments. I think I want to use AI to be more interactive and be more real life and be more like a simulation of real life rather than just a simple test. So one of the things I'm going to share with you is a Congress assessment that I was able to beef up using AI. So I'll send these around for you. And we can reference those as we go. So you can go to the next page. We'll wait for that to go around. So at the end of the Congress unit, I try to do a Congress assessment. I turn that into some scenarios that students then have to react to and pretend that they are U.S. congressmen, or U.S. senators, and they have to have a press release from their Senate office. This is what I started with on the front page. I had a conversation with Google Gemini and tried to make this even more realistic. So if you look at the next 4 pages, if you look at the next 4 pages, you'll see a letter from the CEO of Louisville Slugger about the tariff that is being proposed. You'll see a data sheet talking about the amount of expenditures on bats in the United States. You'll see a letter from a concerned constituent, and you'll see a letter from the foreign representative from China threatening retaliatory tariffs if you approve these tariffs. So it becomes more real life. They read these letters, they have to decide how they're going to do that. And then I go one step further, next slide, which is I use Gemini Gems, which is like a chat bot. I gave it all the information that I'm doing here, the things I want the chat bot to be able to do, and it takes the persona of a legislative aide. So they can do research for them, they can play devil's advocate for them, and it will walk through the decisions that they would make as a senator and say, well, have you thought about this? Have you considered the cost? Have you considered, X, Y, and Z? Have you considered these ramifications? And then at the end, they end up having to create a press release. And I've got the last 4 pages are examples of press releases that students have turned in as a result of this process. And that's one question. They've got 5 in the scenario. I just gave you the first one because I wanted to walk through it fairly quickly. It's much more real life. They really have to think about trade-offs. They have to think about, what can they accomplish with the budget that they have. Sure, none of you have dealt with making good policy recently, so it makes it real difficult and more real life for them. I was really excited to do it this way. So
I love all the redactions.
yeah. Well, since we're going to KU, I didn't want to have student name. So this is set up to be for the presentation next week.
This is awesome.
How long does and I'm gonna act real dumb here because I'm naive about this. How long does it take a person to, you gave them the problem, how long does it take them to go through AI and have this produced?
So we walk through it. I talk about the scenario. We spend time in the library and I'll go around and help kids, help them with their prompts with a legislative aid. They get 1 day in class to work on it. And then the next week, the press releases are due. So they have about a week to deal with it. And they can come in and visit with me from time to time. They visit with other teachers. I mean, they'll talk with each other. I'm like, if you're a senator and you're talking with another senator about ideas, you bounce those off each other. That's real life. You can do that. It's okay.
Yeah, this is cool.
Pretty cool project. I never thought we would come to this, but I guess so.
For real.
All right, so I'll cover mine while I'm passing this out. I will tell you that at the high school level, my debate students, we were just starting to dig into this AI. Digging into this AI as we were starting the school year. And so one of the things that I figured out was I could take the cases that the debate students were building. And they have to go out and take the topic and then read and build their cases, the affirmative case that they want to build. And I dropped that into Gemini and then said, okay, what could a negative team say against this? What would be some things that they would say against this case? And it helped to blow holes into the case. I did not give them what Gemini said. I just simply said, hey, what if somebody was to say this to you? How are you going to approach that? And it made them tighten up their cases to the point that then when we went to state this year, they were much more prepared for any of the blowback that they might get from other schools. So it does make them do critical thinking, and and if you utilize it correctly, you know, it isn't something where it's thinking for them, it's making them think deeper. And so I really like that. This that I just handed out to you is the way I started it with my sixth graders, because we all know it can go to some crazy places if it's given an opportunity. And so I started that, and I had that ready when parents came for parent teacher conferences in October. And we went over it with the parents. That's why I said that I was kind of impressed that I didn't have parents push back more than I did. But they had very clear expectations that these are opportunities where you can use it. These are opportunities where you can ask and we can check it and see if it fit. And these are opportunities where no, and if you use it, it's going to be a 0. And then that helps me to build that framework so that sixth graders can come back and say, well, I didn't know I couldn't use AI for this or whatever. So that's where we started with it. The other thing, I'll pass both of these out. What I've really used it a lot for lately is we did a unit about the history of chocolate. This would have been back before Christmas. And it's part of our Amplify series. And so then I created, I went out and had Gemini help me create escape rooms. I really like doing escape rooms because it gives the kids the opportunity to do some problem solving and figure some things out. And so we did an escape room with chocolate, and they had to learn the history of chocolate as they went through. And it gives you, you can fine tune it as deep as you want, and it will help you to the kids to find the different things, but also you can fine tune it to ask it different things. I also from both of those, the other one is the Titanic for those that don't know that the foundation gave us the grant money to take the kids to the Titanic immersive thing that we're doing. We're doing that on Friday, and so we're going to be going to Union Station and seeing the Titanic Museum there. And then next week, they're going to do a little report about it. And then we're going to do an escape room. In both of these cases, on the back page, you can see the standards that are met with those escape rooms. So that somebody can't say, oh, you're just playing. We actually have standards we have to meet. And by using Gemini, I was able to say, okay, what standards am I going to meet when I do this escape room? And then it told me what standards they would be meeting. And so there's some advantages to that as well. So if you ask it the right questions, you can get quite a bit of information out of Gemini. I know that Brooklyn uses Magic School more. There's just a few that we utilize because we don't really want. There's some that you don't really want the kids to be messing with. So that was some. I think that's something that as a district, we're talking about possibly building a list of the ones that we want to allow to be utilized in the classrooms and the ones that we would have to STEM. That is all I have.
There's another fancy picture because we're ready to blast off into the future with AI. So ready to go. We got all our Tiger swag on there, Tiger astronaut swag. So we're ready to roll. So thanks for listening. At our presentation next week, we have 15 minutes to present, and there are 15 minutes for Q&A. So that's why it says time for questions. But if you have anything else, feel free.
That's awesome. Yeah.
Are you guys approaching this the same way that like our generation was You won't always have a calculator in your pocket.
Yeah.
Is this like this generation?
Somewhat, I don't allow them to just, well, for one thing, I don't allow them to just utilize it anyway, but we all know, when you Google something, the very first thing you get is an AI synopsis.
Right.
So that's one of the first things I've taught my students as we've done research projects, is you're gonna get that AI synopsis, you can't use that. But if you go below, it will tell you where those things came from. And then you can, it's sort of like, in my opinion, it's kind of like Wikipedia. I don't allow them to use Wikipedia, but if you go to Wikipedia, at the bottom is the sources where those things came from. You're welcome to utilize those sources. You can't use Wikipedia, but you can use the sources. And I kind of have taught them AI is very similar because of the way Google does it and gives them that synopsis. Then by dropping down, you can find that same information without utilizing AI. So in that respect, I think it kind of actually maybe makes them work a little bit harder.
Very good. Well, thank you, guys.
It's an option.
Yeah. This next topic won't be near as fun. The update of the mental health committee, I shouldn't say near as fun. Kelly and Bo and I went to one and Kelly and Bo went to two. It's an eye opener, you know, when we talk to our staff about it. I'll let you guys talk.
Yeah, well, I wanna start with, we have an amazing mental health team. I
Yeah.
feel like set up
Absolutely.
as it is.
Yeah.
I think the cases are increasing, and correct me if I'm wrong over there at all, but I think cases are increasing compared to years past, and they're a little bit overloaded and our kids are hurting and. Yeah, it's been hard to hear, but valuable to hear for sure.
Yeah, my biggest takeaway is, it doesn't take 10 minutes of speaking with those ladies and Mr. Corb as well, that, them just telling you stories, what their caseloads are, that you're hoping to find overlap, right? Like so-and-so is doing this, and this is also a student that is taken care of by her, and, but what we found, in my opinion, is enormous gaps, right? And, so our biggest concern, I don't want to speak for Kelly or Matt, is that we don't want any students to fall through those gaps. So, yeah, I think mental health is important. What I want to learn from you guys, being kind of the new member, is historically, didn't we have a position that was the ESSER funds, and the ESSER funds went away, we lost that position. Do we know how we got into the situation we're in? Not that it's a terrible
What do you-
situation, but
We had,
Well, the only thing I'm thinking of is our math interventionist.
well, yeah, but we did have a second one. Through the group, what was the group?
The guidance.
The
Oh, yeah,
guidance center.
guidance center,
Okay.
yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
We had two through the guidance center, and she, I believe, was at the middle school.
Yeah, we had a therapist at the middle school and a therapist at the high school.
okay.
And
Gotcha.
she stepped away,
Mm-hmm.
and they weren't replacing, I think, because our caseload wasn't.
They felt like the caseload at the high school wasn't
Wasn't
high
high
enough to warrant a second therapist in it.
But it's not only at the high school. I
Yeah,
mean, we
no,
have
she's
enough-
covering
I mean,
no, she's got
the- all of it.
preschoolers too, yeah.
So
Go ahead, if you're chiming in, go ahead.
Prior to
Yeah.
the guidance center partnership, we did have a social worker through ESSER funds. And they resigned to take a job out of state, they moved. And then the ESSER funds went away, so we had been trying to fill that, we didn't have the budget to be able to just fill that. And so then we
Okay.
looked for what are other options, and we came up with the guidance center
okay,
partnership.
You're right.
gotcha. Yeah,
And
thanks.
that person was non-special ed, focusing on our gen ed students in all three buildings.
Yeah, and
The
that's,
social worker was,
Uh-huh.
okay, thank
and
you.
that's a good thing to point out, is we do have one with Keystone. But they work with Keystone kids,
Yep, IEPs.
Mhm.
IEP kids with IEPs. So there are non-IEP students, you know, I'm not saying they're falling through cracks, Bo's right, we don't want any of them to. We gotta figure out, you know, how to add something, or how to get someone else, and I hate saying it. But I mean, that,
And it's a rough year to add positions. I think we all realize that.
yeah,
But I think we've
maybe
Talk
partner with
and-
Yeah.
Keystone. I don't know. I don't know. But this is why we're talking about it now. Is we got to
We gotta do something.
come up with some sort of solution.
I think we rolled around enough ideas. We have a couple, three good avenues. Of course, the ladies and Phil, of course. Yeah, sorry, yeah, poor Phil. I think from our last conversation, they would like to see a gen ed social worker that can cover all the buildings. Right? Because like Matt said, we have some that work strictly with Keystone kids. Although she does take on a little bit more, a lot more. But I think we've had really good discussions on how to solve this problem, but like you said, it comes down to dollars and cents. So we have to figure that out.
So part of the last meeting. Well, I met with Doug Anderson. And we Keystone. So we have a full-time person just with the size of our district, but she's overloaded. And with a good heart, she's not gonna tell gen ed kid, you know.
Yeah.
But I visited with Doug, they have with a couple smaller districts where they share. And they're interested if we, you know, again, we're just looking for options, but one option would be, and we'll talk a little bit on the next item. One option would be to try and move into something that we could share to help some of the overload of students with IEPs, the gen ed students. I also want to mention, because, you know, we have the guidance center that provides a different type of service. We have Keystone that provides a service, a social worker that can provide a service. Counselors provide a service. We also talked last month about Jobs for America's graduates. It's a service that you're trying to fill gaps.
Yeah, it would snag a few of those kids.
That's, you know, you have overlap of kids that, you know, Jobs for America's graduates looks at those kids early on that are at risk of not graduating. The traditional schedule, you know, whatever it is, and they work with just helping them with life skills, helping them with internships, looking at, you know, maybe a different path than a 4-year baccalaureate, which isn't the right thing. That's probably only right for about 60% of our students at Eaton. Because we have so many kids that go to a 4-year college, and then 2 years later, they only went, you know, so it helps that population. So now and some of those kids also need that mental health. You know, so now you're just trying to fill all those gaps. So, but anyway, I did have a conversation with Doug, and he's, you know, they're just sitting there with their engine idling for.
Well, the other problem is filling that position, because if you remember, it was posted for over a year, 2 years. That post was posted and we couldn't fill it. So, I mean, we can say we want one all day long, but you're gonna have to fill it at some point.
Yeah, I don't know where, I mean. I shouldn't say it's such a sensitive subject because it's a real subject. I don't know where we go from here. I mean, I'd like to see us maybe look into the partnership, but once again, here we are. I mean,
If I could wave a magic wand, we would have our own social worker working with gen ed students, but I also understand that our budget may not allow for that immediately. I think that would be best case scenario if there was any way to make that happen. But again, it may not be possible this year.
yeah. So I mean,
Maybe
that's
next year.
yeah, that's where we're at on that. Um. I am more than well, Aaron couldn't make it to one, so I went to one. I mean, anybody that can make it to one, it's worth going to. But these girls, I mean, they sit in there and just,
know when they I only messaged him because Erin texted and said she wasn't gonna be there, and I was like, Matt, if you want, there's only gonna be 2 of us.
Just like let us know when they are, cause
sure.
yeah,
as long as
just
there's
take
3 of
turns.
us.
Yeah, just 3.
Yeah.
Just if someone can't go, I'd like to sit in on
Yeah.
one.
It's a quick lunch hour.
I will say that because I couldn't make it, Pacey did reach out to me,
Mhm.
to meet separately, so I
That's
got,
awesome.
yeah.
So,
That
Yeah.
might be worth it, honestly. Go
Yeah.
sit with her, because I don't know if we're having any more of these meetings.
cause even if just 2 of us went. So,
Got some more info, yeah.
But I would argue it's somewhat urgent, so whatever we're gonna do, I think it needs to be done quickly.
I guess. I mean, that's that. Let's move on to the budget. Well, I mean, we,
Right up to it.
Well, and there will be another meeting, it just wasn't
Oh, okay,
put on the schedule yet.
good,
Yeah, this will be an ongoing.
good, perfect.
and the reason I said that, cause it's in here. He has figured new money and stuff like that, where it is entered in, but you know, here we are.
We have a couple
Well, I got a
of
couple
these, so I just didn't know if anybody. We don't always. Have a
And where
lot.
are these located online for those that are interested in looking?
Well, they always
They're
end
gonna
up
be in the
minutes.
minutes. Okay, so if anybody wants to click through at some point.
So just, it's. About this time of year, we start looking at, next year. As soon as we start. Getting numbers, there are certain things that we get earlier than others. But I wanted to start just a follow up from the last meeting because. About 85% of our operating budget, and by operating, that's our general and supplemental general, goes to people. Certified, classified, administrative, so when you think of our total budget, excluding capital outlay, only about 15% of it is for electricity. A lot of the things that you approve in the consent agenda, supplies, all of that stuff is only about 15%, the majority of it. So when you look at, the first column is 23, 24. We almost kind of have to ignore that because it's so inflated. Because the first line is instruction, and it shows 69% of our expenses, but that's the year we had rocket online schools. And there was like $4 million laundered to a company in Oklahoma. I mean, so we got to ignore that one because, but the first line, when we talk about instruction, those are classroom teachers. The second line, student support services, that's the people that are typically in that mental health group. That's your nurses, your counselors, their student support. Instructional support, those are the people that support our teachers in instruction. Those are librarians, those are paras. Then administrative and support, those are our high school offices, secretaries, the district office, accounts payable, superintendent, all of that. Operations and maintenance, custodial, maintenance director, and then transportation, food service, capital improvements, debt services. So anyway, just to kind of So if you look at 24-25 actual, that's more of a true, that was last year. There's gonna be variances. For example, 58%. But we had a teacher at the middle school that Brenna taught a lot of the classes. We had long-term subs. Well, the long-term subs go into instructional support. So, I mean, every year there's gonna be a fluctuation. Our goal is to always be around 59 to 60% instruction. We're around 4 to 5% in student support services. You know, if at some point we were ever to do a social worker, they would go into that student support because they're there for that reason.
Is insurance and benefits part of that topic?
Yes,
Okay.
yes. So, I mean, they categorize, it's buying, it's like the 1000s in our budget is instruction. So that's salary, benefits, included in that. For example, we talked about, you know, what percent of our budget goes to athletics? Well, about, when you add up all of our coaches, all of that, you're looking high school, middle school, you're looking at around $300,000. But that goes to their salaries. And if they're a teacher, it's in there. If it's a, you know, Phil Ford, that is student support, that's part of, is added on to it. So it's all in that area.
And assistant principal, that chunk of what they get goes to administration.
Yes.
Okay.
So everything is coded based off what their time is. So, like, Alan Dick, the percent of his time that he works as a assistant principal gets charged to the 2400s. So, but anyway, I just wanted to share this because it's just our goal. So you look at this year's budget. That's where we budgeted things for this year. But you never know. Like last year, we didn't know that late we were gonna have a teacher not here, so we had to have long-term subs. So it doesn't always end, but it's fairly close. So I just wanted to kind of share that going into this, because the biggest part about it is we are so people heavy in our budget.
Am I reading this right? The amount per pupil? And then the current expense, is that how much when you break it down per student?
So
17.
so when you see total expenditures, that first one, so for 25-26 budget, that includes capital outlay and that includes bond and interest. If you go down to the next one, the current expenditures, it excludes. But so yes, 15,772, that seems like a lot, but that includes
Electrical.
well, but that includes all the money that comes into us that we have to then transfer to Keystone.
Oh,
It includes all food service, all transportation, everything.
Okay,
That,
not the number we get from the state.
no.
It
that's,
would be nice, but yeah.
that's federal food service reimbursement, everything. That's the whole thing. So yes, it's a lot on a per pupil, but a lot of it, for example, papers. That used to always stay at the state level. So everybody so Capers does a match for just like every state employee. That used to go from the state treasurer write papers. Well, for school districts, several years ago, they started, we're gonna wire it to the school district. So it shows up in our account and then 5 minutes later, it's wired right back. That way, all those millions of papers dollars show up. Cause they wanted to make that, well, it goes to teachers, well, it goes there, but. So it includes papers. Did you ever figure out a way how to intercept that? Cause you got about 5 minutes, but it comes to the bank and then it's pulled right back out. to
At that
paper.
price, we could pay somebody.
So anyway, so the reason for that is just kind of where our people are balanced, but that's 85% of our budget is people. The next page. So this is, like I said, the time of year we can start plugging in, thinking about next year. Our audit is done. So they come and audit how many kids we have, how many of them qualify for free lunch, how many are transported over 2.5 miles, career tech ed, anything. A lot of our numbers generate revenue because there's an amount per pupil. And then there's weightings that we get on top of that.
And this is based on the number that's submitted in September.
Yes.
Okay.
So we submit the number on because it's the September 20th head count. They came and audited our head counts. So we're going to appeal a few items, mainly around career tech ed, some of our courses that didn't count. But the funding formula says next year you can count the number you had this year or the number you have next year, whichever's higher. So we've already had, and we have transitions throughout the year. Every school district does. We've had a few move out, we've had a few move in. We're up about 7 or 8 kids than what we were on September 20th. We don't get funded for those. That's just, we had 4 that left here and went somewhere else. Well, they don't get the funding. It's all based off September 20th. So if we use our September 20th number, the formula also says that the amount per pupil will go up based off consumer price index. Well, they have a good idea what that's going to be. It's going to be lower because last year's consumer price index. So we have a good idea for that. So looking at next year, our new revenue, when you take our general fund and our supplemental, because if it goes up $100, that goes up $33. It's 33. Those two added together, we're looking at about $220 of new revenue. I mean, this is early, but at least we can start putting a marker out there. If our enrollment's up, then that number will go higher. So that's just kind of a base. So we start going down the list and start plugging things in as once we know it. In February, we always receive what our anticipated health insurance increase is going to be next year. So if you look at our current pool, they're looking at an 8% increase. That's $118,000 that we have to anticipate we have to cover next year. This year, in the fall, we had 16 join new. That changes. We're now at 9. So it's about 188,000 above what that number that we anticipated. So we now have to say, okay, is there a number we want to anticipate that could go up, could go down? We don't know. So I just plugged in a 4. That it could be 6, it could be none. We don't know. The other last month we added a assistant for softball. You have a request here in a little bit for golf, so that's over to the discussion. Jeff West preschool startup, you know, we've talked that that's gonna take a few years. Last year, for this year, we had a 50,000 in there. I've pulled it down, that is gonna fluctuate, it depends on,
And that's just over and above what it's not paying for itself,
yes.
until we get numbers high enough where it's paying for itself.
Yes, or the goal is in 3 years to 4 years, you know, we get to that. We're at 61 right now.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, it changes. But it,
And you had said it would be like 3 to 5 years, probably. And we're on year
our
2.
goal next year, we're looking at year 2.
Yeah.
I'm hoping we can get there faster, just because we have the kids in the community. And it's not right for everyone,
Right.
but
It's a
we're
great
already
thing of
looking
teachers,
at
too.
61. But at some point, class sizes, you're gonna have to add that next teacher, so it just. But, the goal is for it to fund itself. We will have to look at, okay, we're charging 700 a month. It's a lot more expensive to go to some other, you know, do we need to adjust that to maybe 750, you know? You know, we just started with, to get the doors open.
Are a lot of the new preschoolers that have come on, are they employee children? Or are they?
No, we
No.
have several, well, there's 3-year-olds, but 3-year-olds have been growing because of early childhood screeners.
Okay.
And so they are also coming along with IEPs.
Okay.
Which is what happens about every school year.
Mhm.
Now, there's an occasional move in here, or hey, we've been thinking about it, and we didn't do it then, can we do it now? We've had a little bit of a mix of that this year.
Yeah.
But the biggest growing area has been 3-year-olds due to identification.
Okay.
But when,
61, but there's 3 that haven't even been screened yet, so they're not even counted in that 61.
Okay.
So- and there's different, I mean, if you have an IEP, you're already counted.
Yeah.
If you don't have an IEP, but you have one of the 9 risk factors, you get state funding.
Mhm.
If any of those qualify for free lunch, you get an additional at-risk funding. And then if you don't have any of that, then you pay a tuition. So it's a combination of all those. We hope to get to the point, I mean.
Yeah.
And so we're gonna have to adjust the tuition to where what makes sense, you know, but. So looking at that, you can see how fast things add up. I do wanna say this though. And nothing against, or I'm just using as example. If you're the Perry School District, that number at the top, instead of 220, is -20. Because their graduating class is larger than classes that are coming in. One of our neighbors on the other side of the lake, it's like 1,500. So, I mean, most rural school districts across the state, there are negative numbers. We're just, with our location, with what we have, you know, everything, we're just, so we're not dealing with a situation where every time someone retires, we can't replace them, and you know, it's so we're in a better situation than most, especially most rural districts.
Yeah.
Because I think we all know, suburban, that's where people are moving. At the same time, birth rates are lower. statewide, there are fewer Kansas students, whether it's public, private, whatever, there are fewer students K-12 statewide. So anyway,
One second, I just,
Yes.
and I should have looked at my, somebody texted me, I was using a calculator. They can't get on the Zoom, they need a password.
Right, the link.
I had a person texting me too.
I didn't, I mean, they texted me a long time ago.
136192. It's posted with the link. Mine figured it out.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, just. Sorry.
That
go ahead,
for
Brad.
security reasons?
Yeah.
Okay, there we go. Good call.
Good job.
Good call.
Go ahead, Brad. Sorry.
well, the last thing, so when you look at the discussion part, the social worker, I just plugged in a 40. Because as a ballpark, because that's what, if we were to share, you know, with salary and benefits, you're looking at 80,000, you know, with someone with experience, so that's why I just so you
Half.
knew, you know, that could be 30, could be, but I just wanna, as we go forward with discussions, we can put it all in context. So. The last page is our capital outlay. The top, the first line is what we started. The first column is last year. I always keep that just for reference. The second column is this year, you know, what we started the year with, what our revenue, what our 8 mills will bring us. Last year's new revenue, the reason it was higher, I'm sure everybody remembers all of my budget speeches. But the one advantage of the virtual school for 1 year was when they figure your state aid, it's your valuation divided into, or your number of students divided into your valuation. We had like 1,000 virtual kids, so it appeared that we were very poor on paper, so we picked up a lot extra state aid. So that's, but it was only a one-time gift. And actually, it helped pay the preschool playground equipment. But, so that's why if you wonder, well, why was our revenue last year so much higher? Because we picked up quite a bit of state aid. Expense items, these are just kind of the categories that we have in our capital outlay. And you know, bus vehicle rotation. We don't have to rotate a bus out this year, but the next 2 years, and you know, buses can only be used on the road so many years, so we have to budget long term when we're gonna rotate buses out. Just transportation maintenance and supplies, technology, the green Keystone facility payoff, we will start paying this summer for the next 10 years, our portion of the new facility over in Oskaloosa. So that's the 73,000. We can pay it early, but we don't have in the capital outlay to pay it early, so we'll so it's budgeted what we have to pay each year. We have maintenance salaries. We are already paying out of capital outlay. School safety, I have that in there just because long term, as we're doing upgrading cameras, we're updating last year, you know, getting upgrades at the preschool and getting that secured. The gold operations and maintenance, that's the one where we spend around 300,000 a year just, you know, talking to Tim today, one of our milk refrigerators at the middle school, we're gonna have to, as much as we're spending on Freon and trying to keep it running.
I think it's been a problem for a long
Well, I know, that's why,
time.
yeah, it's, so anyway, but, we're at, as of the end of February, we're at about $238,000 in that line, or in that area. And we have 4 more months to go, and we're coming up on summer projects, so. The QSCB tech bond, actually in this one, I was looking, but I'd already made printouts, so I didn't want to tear the page off and redo them all again. But there's about 60,000. This is the last year to pay off that 20-year, 15 to 20-year, where we borrowed against our capital outlay, and we did some technology, and we did some, but we get to pay that off. So that's why that's not out in the future.
How much has that been every year?
About 82,000.
Okay, so that will be,
This year, I think it's the last year, and I think it's about 56,000. When I was looking at that, I looked at the budget and I thought, no, there's about 56,000. It's our last year, but I didn't want to.
Yeah.
That was about at 5 o'clock.
Yeah.
And
fine.
anyway, parking lots, we spend about 25,000 a year. Just district-wide equipment, we spend about 50,000 a year. Just replacing old equipment, whether it's furniture, whether it's in kitchens, whether it's freezers, you know, that kind of, whenever we purchase equipment.
No technology in that one, no, right?
No, that's all up during the tech line. And then preschool construction, you know, we just put in, we know like this year, we were trying to hold off. But we finally had to order some, lunchroom tables that can fold up, because that gym's used. So we held off until, basketball season, when people use that, and we were just using tables and chairs, and so anyway, so we ordered enough to cover this year's, but. So there's just equipment down the road, we will have to, as the program grows, and furniture and stuff, but that's just, construction and equipment.
And this is in addition to the startup. The 20 startup. That we had on the first page.
The overage.
Yeah,
What it-
that's, the 20 is just for like people. That's paid out of general operating. This is just for capital outlay type things for the preschoolers. It continues to grow, because it wasn't designed for 3 and 4-year-olds. So everything in there is all, it's needs to be. So as the program grows, that building will need some upgrades. So the yellow is around $300,000 then for doing things that aren't on a list. For example, we know that those original classrooms, at some point, the tile is going to need to be replaced. So things like that. Those windows are going to need, those original single pane windows are going to, so that's things moving forward that aren't repairing things that we currently have. Those are projects that we want to start knocking off the list. looking where we're at. With this year in June. It's really gonna come down to, with the addition of health insurance costs. How much of our custodial salaries that we're gonna have to move over to capital outlay. To balance. And so,
Because the general is stressed.
but even though we had new revenue this year, it didn't. Because when you look at this and I know it's too early. Cause I know even in the Keystone report, we don't know what our special ed increase is gonna be for next year. You know, so when you looked at this year with same thing, that's why we start plugging in, we don't know property insurance, we don't know those things.
They're not going down. We do know that. According to the letter we did.
So we will know our property insurance around middle of May. They bring everybody to Wichita and then they share with everybody in our property insurance pool.
But that's a fun day.
Last year really wasn't bad because it only went up like $1,400 when it had been going up around 60,000. They had more districts join. They had better results on their investments. It was a combination, so they were able to pretty much hold it. They said, we don't know. So anyway, I just wanted to, you know, this is the month where we start filling in blanks as we're looking in the next year to be able to see, okay, what can we and can't we do?
Very good. Any questions?
No.
Yep, West High School 26-27 course book update.
We already talked about things.
Yeah, last month you approved the course book and we had a couple additions that came around and I spoke that we were still gonna bring something for math. And we got together and talked with the math curriculum team. And we're looking at what the issue we're running into is a math class for our students who started in geometry, took algebra 2, but decided they really weren't college bound and we didn't really have a non-college bound class. In the past, we've been able to have them go ahead and take the college level class, but as a just a math or just a high school credit. Highland has moved more towards the electronic version of their textbooks and Canvas as their student information source, and if they don't enroll with them, then they aren't able to access Canvas or the online textbook. And we didn't want to force students to pay for a college class if they really weren't taking a college class. We also had some students who were finding that they'd completed algebra 2, but were not ready for that college algebra or the contemporary math that is now an option. And so we talked about how do we fill that gap. And we looked at what the course might look like, basically kind of some end of some algebra 2 and build into what a contemporary or college math might be to fill that gap, along with some real life relevant math that they may need, whether they're going to college or going to the workforce or whatever their next step is. We played with a lot of different names of what that might look like. You know, we could have maybe called it an intermediate algebra, but because we've already had an intermediate algebra, we were afraid people would just go, oh, that's what it is, what it used to be, and that's not what I want to take. So we landed on algebra 3. as our course name, and then we're looking at resources. Probably most likely gonna be an Algebra 2 book, and then look at some life skills. There's resources out there that I don't think we'll need to purchase a new textbook for, but we'd like to add that class to our math sequence to fill that gap.
How many total math classes does that make that we offer?
Oh, gosh, I don't know. Quite a few. I mean, we have a great variety to meet all ends of
No, I
the,
appreciate you
the
guys
scope and
thinking about that.
sequence.
Yeah, there
So,
are a lot. Yeah, yep. Yeah, it's not.
The other hiccup we ran into is we submitted our teaching and training pathway. And within that, there was a class that we had to have on there that we misread. It was this one or this one. So we had to list them both. So we would like to also put the lifespan development course in our course book. It'll be probably a couple of years before we have kids that are that far along the pathway to teach it, but for us to get pathway approval, we have to have that as a course offering.
Do we have teachers that can teach that?
Yeah, and that one's actually within our facts pathway.
Okay.
And then our third change that we found that within our course book, our anatomy and physiology, there's two different number zip codes for it, and one ends with an F and one ends with an N maybe, and we had the wrong letter at the end. So when the auditor looked at it, he's like, well, that's not funded. And so he didn't count it for us where we were counting it. So we want to make that change and get that accurate so that we don't get dinged for that, and we can count those kids that should be counted in CTE weightings. So those are the three changes we're looking at, and would ask for your approval on tonight to add to the book.
So if anybody have any questions? No, you can get a motion to.
Motion to accept
Recommended, there you go.
the recommended Algebra 3 lifespan development and the change of the course numbers for anatomy and physiology. In the 2026-2027 course book update for junior high school.
Second.
On favor? 7-0. Thank you.
Thank you.
Boys golf coach proposal. We have a handout here.
Oh, you guys have one?
Yeah.
So boys golf, talked with Coach Lawhorn, and this is one of his biggest teams that he's had. Right now his current has 22 athletes out, and all those are junior or lower. So that means next year, assuming all 22 return, to be a potential for 8 more freshmen to join next year, it'll be 30 total kids out for golf. So he's asking for a third golf coach. For one, practice ratio. Him and Larry do a really good job with the golf program. I think it's one of the more competitive ones in the state that we have. It helps them really get technical in golf. It's a technical sport, probably one of the most technical compared to track. So it allows them to kind of have a better coaching ratio. So you kind of see put in there with 22 players and 2 coaches, it's 11-1. 22 with 3 coaches, it's 7-1. So it gives them time for more one-on-one swing analysis, immediate corrections during practice, more individualized improvement plans, but also it just helps with supervision. They kind of break their practice into 3 different sections. They utilize the driving range, the chipping and putting greens, and also different golf holes on the course itself. They're working on par 3s, par 4s, the drivings. With only 2 coaches, it's a lot easier for some players to be out of sight. They can't all be at the driving range or the chipping putting green because it's just not big enough to facilitate 22 players. So his worry is that it's going to slow the response time in case there was an emergency. It's also going to provide less supervision for those who are new or inexperienced players for that program. With 22 players, he kind of broke it down. He's probably going to have 3 different levels of playing: varsity competitions, JV players, and then his developmental players. So we've got quite a few upperclassmen who are brand new to golf who are trying out for the first time this year. And he wants to devote time as those kids deserve to be good at golf and learn a life skill. So he's kind of broken it down to ways a third coach would help. He could have himself dedicated to his varsity, Larry would be dedicated to the JV competition prep, and then that third coach would be useful to help with those developmental players. That way that those players aren't falling behind. It's going to lead to less players hopefully quitting and going to get more out for the sport, just more community support for his program. And then kind of the last point he made, cost this year, if you kind of look at it this way, it's a wash. State tournament this year is in Topeka. Usually when they go to state, it involves about $1,500 to $3,000 of hotel stays. So with that, they're saving that kind of money they would have spent anyway. And that's kind of where the coaching salary is going to lie, depending on experience. So for this year, if you look at it that way, it's kind of a wash in terms of the money we're going to spend for hotels compared to saving or spending on a golf coach.
How many kids do they get to take as part of varsity to like the different?
Take 6.
And the same for JV?
Yeah. If you can only take 6 players to each competition.
And how many do we do a season?
How many meets do we do?
Yes.
I think it's 7 or 8, not including state regionals and all that. So 9 or 10 if you include that.
7 or 8 varsity and then probably.
Yeah, we're looking for more JV right now. Yeah, I think we've got 4 on our schedule, so we're trying to find 3 or 4 more to get those kids to.
So when you said
But-
8 will be joining next year, is that they just?
No, I'm saying like if we had a potential for 8 to join,
Is
yeah,
there's
because there's 0 junior.
about 70 kids that are boys in that class.
Yeah.
so-
Yeah,
That,
assuming they all got for
22
track.
could go for 60.
right. So that's his kind of worry is that
Coming up.
with 0 seniors, it's just going to get bigger
Yeah.
this next year.
And so he's figuring a wash because in Topeka.
Yeah, state tournaments in Topeka. We're hosting regionals, so yeah, there's no travel for regionals this year. So
Oh, nice. So it's not extra. It's.
Yeah.
Instead of saving.
I'll just write down my objections from last week.
Noted.
and they are committed to the sport. They wouldn't have asked if they really didn't believe this was needed for their program.
Sure. And he's an educator. He's a teacher.
Mhm.
Students.
Yeah.
He understands.
I really appreciate these, the
They're
last
great.
couple
Yeah.
you presented.
And this
It's
is
been very good.
This is all Coach Lawhorn's work.
That's
He
awesome.
broke it down to everything we needed. So
Very good. Would anybody like to make a motion on this?
I'll make a motion to add or approve an additional coach for golf. Go, is that, do I have to say varsity boys golf or boys golf?
It'd be an additional,
This is assistant.
there'd be additional, assistant coach, I believe, right?
assistant, yes.
Second assistant coach
There you go.
is what it is.
I'll motion to approve a second assistant boys golf coach.
Second.
All in favor? 1, 2, 3. 5 or 5. When you throw me off.
Okay? Math is hard. The part, know the number.
Student issues, we have this year again.
Yeah, so we have a request, from Leslie Abbott to attend the approved to Braxton and Leslie to attend the national competition in Washington DC. I don't know if Leslie has anything she wants to add or if you have any questions, but you have her letter. So.
So, Braxton actually ran for district president this year, and he's been a district officer, and we have 12 schools that are part of our district region. And so he won the competition. He actually had the highest score out of everybody that competed. And so he's really excited. Because of that, the state requires all district presidents to attend nationals, where they get special training that then the state advisor will use him to facilitate things like state leadership conference, district conferences, but also learning extra tools to come back and help lead that district team next year. So it'll be in Washington, DC, July 5th through the 12th, depending on what day and time he's required to be there to meet those recommendations by the state. And then he will also help to lead the Kansas delegate into a lot of their activities. We have state meetings there, and so he actually is a part of that. He also gets to help be one of the people that carries the Kansas flag in during open ceremony and ending ceremony, so kind of an exciting thing for him, very well deserved. So
Awesome.
my only concern is that it would just be him and I. So what I'm asking also is, what is your recommendation? Would you like me to take another student to house with him? Would he, or would you prefer he try to find another student from another school in our district that qualifies? Would you like me to bring my spouse? I mean, this is a gray area we've never been in because we've always had parents, right? Or we've had enough kids that it was not in question. So I didn't know if there were concerns by the board. That's kind of why I'm here.
So I'm glad you brought it. What is your preference?
Yeah.
Because we're gonna lose that point.
I talked with his mother for a while and I said, you know, what's your comfort zone? Because in the past, I've always tried to take one student with me when we went to district meetings if I had a male officer. Just for their reputation as well as my own, you know. And she said she was comfortable with it. I asked Braxton if she would want to go or if he would like to invite his dad to go. He said, I prefer my dad, but we can't afford it. You know, the trip's gonna be around $2,000 to go. To ask one of the parents to also come up with that, that's a lot of money. He did receive $100 from the state to attend and 500 from our district. So he has 600 there, and he also has 600 that he himself has raised already. Yeah.
I don't know how you, I don't,
I honestly would defer to you and whatever
I
you
don't know how
felt,
we-
yeah. You're a pretty well respected member of our staff. I feel
Thank you.
comfortable, so I would say whatever your comfort level is, unless you've got. Yeah,
Mr. Bartle and I had also visited because he's got a lot of girls on his team. And that this might be something that he has to also consider in the future.
Yeah.
Especially on his officer team, so.
Yeah.
I feel comfortable going with him. My hope is that the other district officer from one of our district teams will qualify as a star event competitor. And they'll be looking for a roommate and we can also split that hotel cost. So that's my goal. And if not, someone at least from the district, and we always get a double bedroom so that they both feel comfortable being in their own space, so.
Or, yeah.
yeah. Yeah, that's a good idea.
good to me.
We support what you feel comfortable with. Absolutely.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
yeah,
For the program you're on.
Thank you.
You need a motion on that?
Oh,
I motion to approve Leslie Abbott and Braxton Penry to attend the FCCLA National Leadership Conference in Washington, DC this July.
Second.
all in favor? 7-0. Facilities, equipment and planning, update on bond edition. Yeah,
It's really. Kind of early to be, okay, here's next step.
I was gonna say, I wish this meeting was in this.
But,
The next day.
but we had to have it on the agenda in the event if it were to pass, there would have been things to do. If it were not passed, then.
Yeah.
Just,
we need to figure out, once again. Different avenues. On how to. Obtain data. And. I mean. It's gonna have to be less this next time.
I think we
So-
have good data. I think we need to go through and really start crossing off the list, because I think we have a really good base, you know. There's a lot of things I know a few of us spoke previously on, like we could
probably live with that, or maybe do a grant or a fundraiser or something. Maybe a match, like what we talked about with the track, you know, find maybe chamber and booster club can match on something to help, you know, anything, but I think that our primary goal right now should be to go through and see where we're at. Each of us collectively, and then come together and see where we are. We know we're the community.
I think we need the community to help us with that process.
I agree.
Oh, absolutely,
Yeah.
but like for us individually, mindset wise. So when we start that community efforts again, we say, this is where we feel we could correct this number.
I do think we should look,
Lower the number.
I do think we should look into doing a two-part.
Yeah,
And I
the
think
two-part.
I've been reading and listening. I think everyone up here listens to what people are saying, although we don't respond, myself included, to certain things being said, etc. I am 100% listening. And from what I gathered, I feel like a lot of people would prefer a two-part bond that has one side focusing on those absolute needs and then post the second portion if those other wants are, and it could be multiple part bonds, but I do feel like we do need to figure out a better format.
Were there any versions to that? This go around, I wasn't on the board yet, but I think I attended the meeting where HDK gal even mentioned it. But was there any decision on why we didn't go with like a two-parter?
Know that we ever really said, this is why we're not doing that.
Yeah.
We just didn't.
I don't ever remember us saying.
I do remember we talked about
We
it.
talked about it, but I don't remember us saying, let's not do that. I don't
Yeah.
know where that fell off.
Yeah, I don't know. I
I think we can discuss it more. It wasn't discussed really as much previously. I think it's something that we need to hold
They don't normally
accountability.
have a lot of success, I think.
Which I think
Yeah.
the first time around on the bond issue, 2020, whatever, 2025 is, I was following the election results. I think like Cloud County had 3 different bonds. And like Aaron said, they were like 2 million for this project and 5 million for this project and 8 million for this project. And then you got all 3 of them out there. Maybe you get a couple, maybe you get one,
Yeah,
you know?
right.
Is it that way or is it progressive? Like this to get, this has to pass to get to the second one, that has to pass to get to the third one.
It's typically that you vote on question 1. Question 2 doesn't count unless question 1
Passes.
passes.
Okay, that makes,
That way it's prioritized. Now, you could throw it at, you can write the language however you want. But if it's the goal of the community to say, well, okay, but wait a minute, we didn't get infrastructure, HVAC, but the track passed. It's like you typically write them to where number 2 is only good in the event number 1. And then number 3 is only, or you could say 2 or 3 doesn't matter, and maybe 3 passes and 2 doesn't, but number 1 has to pass before the others. So it's just however you want, or you can put all 3 of them and just see if they're all equal of importance. You just let people decide which one was. So you could write it however you want, but typically the second or third is contingent upon the first one. That way the highest prioritized ones that have to be done are in the first. So you can write it however you want. But you're right, there have been some that put some choices out there.
And they get to sit it.
But you just want to make sure that if you have a high needs one, you want to put the other ones contingent that they only work the high needs ones passes, because if that doesn't pass, none of the other ones matter, even though if they passed. But you can write it however you want.
Do we? Since we just went through this process, and we have all this information and content readily available now that has
Fresh.
been, yeah. Do we need to partner with like a group like HTK again, or can we do it without them?
So, so HTK, they make their money when the bond passes.
Correct.
So we pay them
we-
nothing?
Well, so we'll have like, I can't remember how, like $10,000. But to your thing is, we wouldn't have to use them again for the stuff leading up to the vote, because I agree,
Right.
you have pretty much what you need.
Yeah,
But you might not have to go through interviewing for architects again. You might have, you might just say, hey, we still want to work with you in the event that we have questions, whatever, but they wouldn't have to do a lot of the pre-vote stuff that they've already done.
Do
Right.
we still have access to that spreadsheet that they had pulled out when we voted on the scope, like? They were able to kind of pull off and put back on, or is that
Oh,
something?
yeah,
We have all those sheets too.
Yeah,
from our-
we-
Yeah, where they were written.
but it might be, so let's say you had a couple special meetings, or you had a couple where people just came in and said, let's just really, and now we need something for visuals, we need something, there are things you might need an architect to be able to provide. Because we need a graphic designer, we need someone that can do scale drawings, depending on what it is, so it's not necessarily you'd have to. But if something came up, you have someone in your hip pocket, and I'm sure that they are going to be willing to do whatever you might need. It's just there are certain things. For example, the bond advisor. Piper Jaffrey. They provide all of the, they then get back with the county, what are the new numbers, what are the assessed valuations, what are the home? They provide all of that at no charge, because they then are part of the fee that they get paid with bond proceeds. If the bond were to pass, that's where architects, construction managers, the bond advisors.
I wanna see a good breakdown too of 25 years versus 20 versus 15
Yep.
versus 10, and I wanna see what. the
Yeah,
index
I
is
think
gonna
that'll
be.
be
I wanna
really
see-
And they will have to do that, just like they.
Everybody to see that,
Yeah,
everybody. Because I think there's a lot of misconceptions out there about a shorter bond. It would be less, kind of, but it's confusing. I don't know that I have a great understanding of it, and I.
well, and so like a bond advisor, they would. If the board were to say, hey, let's get a community, let's get a group, let's come in. They will always come in and sit down and go through.
Yeah.
The brass tacks, but they're the ones that can run numbers like that. I mean, that's their world.
And they're gonna have to do it all over again, because we just got assessed
Yeah,
Monday.
every year they have to redo it.
I think it'd be good to, the community meetings we had were great and they were beneficial, but we couldn't share a lot of them online. And I don't know that, I mean, I know why we couldn't because of the difficult and the individual groups, but I think we had people fill out those big sheets of paper and things like that with their, these are the things we think would be great. These are, causing concern, etc.
Yeah.
I think taking pictures of those and posting those online. on the website for, again, more transparency. I keep hearing, a mixture, and it's only been a day, we're gonna hear more. But hearing, well, my group or my table, or I express that this is, something that I feel is not important. However, a table across the room felt otherwise. So we need to give credence to everyone who gave input.
Yeah.
So I would like to share all that information as well. Since I'm just trying to figure out ways we can share those smaller tables and the information they're providing so that everybody's fully aware of what
And
we're basing our
and how to share
information
it.
on.
I think we rely too much on just social media.
I agree.
And saying, hey, go to our website, all the information's out there. Well, like they pointed out, what did he say, about 50%, he thought, doesn't have access? So we're not reaching those people.
Do we go and knock on doors, like where are
Right,
they at?
yeah.
Is it
And I think that's,
trespassing, you know, we should
Right.
have to figure out that.
I don't
whole-
wanna trespass.
That's what I'm saying, there's so many damned if you do, damned if you don't
Oh,
scenarios.
Well, this
And
is
it's
where we
like,
need
well,
to
that's the
get
question.
creative.
Yeah, we have to
This-
get creative.
and that's the only,
If
that's
it's
the only
sticking
reason.
those posters and hanging them along Main Street in a building,
Right.
whatever we need to do, I don't want people to feel like they weren't heard. And I don't want people to feel like they're not valued.
Yeah.
Yeah, just finding. a
That
way
is the
to
question
reach.
though. Well, we had,
That's
one of our
so
community
hard.
meetings was about communication with the community. And we asked those exact questions, and I believe we were told newspaper, right? Help me if I'm wrong.
Handouts.
Handouts,
Yeah.
mailers. So we asked those questions a year ago. We got those answers a year ago. We thought we did it. It's hard to hear that we are still hearing it wasn't enough.
Yeah.
So,
Well, and it's hard too, because we can't spend our money
right, we can't.
on the mailers, et cetera,
Yeah.
the school funds. We can't.
You can on mailers if it's just providing information. They're expensive. You can't on anything that says vote yes.
You're right.
Okay.
That encourages them how to vote. So it's, yeah, it's one of those. Did you do?
But it was on the news so many times. I think that's where I struggle the most is people have
Well,
television.
it comes down to, everybody found out about it and they found out how high it was.
Yes,
Okay, so we need to start with it not being high.
right.
That's where we need to start.
And not just that, like Aaron said, us make our own list and.
Yeah,
start
and then form
line up,
together. and
But
stuff.
prioritizing it as well.
Yes.
Right.
But, yes,
But I think it's
yes.
more helpful because they are looking to us for guidance too and just say, this is what we each came up with. We came together. Where do you think we could better it, you know?
I think we need to come, and I'm not saying a number, but a far smaller number. I'm just throwing this out there, 10, and go, this is what we have to work
But
with.
how do we get to that? number?
I don't know, but we need.
Because honestly,
What are you getting
like,
rid
we
of?
went from 20 to 17, and I get people's concerns, especially, or, yeah, and it went, so what is that number? I think that's what we need to learn too, from the
Well, you have to
community.
realize too, it's 10 million, I'm just using that.
That's just.
Yeah.
But you have to take into consideration the amount of cost, soft cost and fixed cost outside. It's not $10 million going into our building.
Yeah.
You know, outside of materials and labor, you have all these other fees that we're paying, HTK, and then you hire a construction management at risk. That's another potential 6% out of that.
Yeah.
So, I mean, the fees and stuff, I think that's what you have to look at as well as how do you, one, what is the actual cost, which HTK can probably help us get there a little bit. But what are the fees included? I don't think we really talked about what that actually looked like of the 17.5 million. How much of that is going towards construction management at risk? All the soft costs, all the fixed costs, regardless of the number, it's not all based on just percentages. There are fixed costs, whether it's 10 million, 17 million, or 5 million. There's still those fixed costs that we have to pay in fees. So I think we should better understand what does that actually look like so we can be transparent to the community of this is how much is going into the buildings, and this is what our fees are going to cost us. Because I think that helps you realize like, okay, well, maybe we actually need 12 just based on the fees. What is going to be
the number that actually fixes all of the things that we need to fix. And then what's the other additional cost that we're paying to architects, engineers, the construction management at risk? I don't think we really got into that a whole lot either.
I realize we want to touch everybody and help every building, but what building really needs it the most that we need to really dive into? I think it's, hands down the middle school. We really need to focus on the middle school before it's at the point of it being condemned. Then where do we go? So I know my reflection today was primarily like, I went through it and I went through it and I read the comments and I went through it and I was like, where do we really need to hone in on? And where can we reach out? I mean, we've got to get kids out of that ag building. You should not have kids walking, you know what I'm saying? Like things like that. I was just wrapping my head around that, not just as a parent, but just as a teacher being completely segregated, and our ag building is horrible, just like little things like that. I mean, I'd love to touch every one of these schools.
I say we take the month and talk to constituents and
I agree.
listen, and then next
Gosh,
month
too.
we start making plans for community meetings, starting back up.
Instead of just waiting until.
Let's take a month, let's just listen, and then next month we get to work.
That's good.
Yeah, I like that.
I welcome anybody.
Yeah.
You
please
are
call
always
us.
welcome to call, text, find me.
Yeah,
Put
I'm
me down.
out there for a reason, it's like.
I'll be at a lot of baseball
do
this
this-
fall or this spring.
We
So
do this knowing the person.
hoping to make
Are we at the
this
golf
play.
course?
Well, and we have people out here that are willing to,
Yeah. I come,
I've already got some names in mind that I wanna call.
Okay. Guess we'll just pick up where we left off. The only thing is, once again, we didn't want to rush this last one, and we wanted it to work, had to work. Dire Straits. Well, we're back here again.
Yeah, we've got.
So when I say I don't think we need to rush this, I mean, I'm in no hurry to rush this.
It
I'm
isn't
feeling a little
considered a
rushed, but
rush,
I-
we've been working on it for 2 years, it's the number that we're not all coming together on, you know what I'm saying, like, all of this, it's only getting worse, that's my fear, like,
It is,
the middle school, honest to God. Lose sleep over it.
it is,
It's
but I'm
that
not
bad.
losing, we can't lose 3 times.
No, I totally agree, but we
So
can't
that's
wait
why we
until
need
1,
to
2
take
years.
this different
well,
approach.
some of it's gonna change because we have a HVAC unit on top of preschool. So
Exactly.
we've been holding off on,
Exactly.
it's probably gonna have to be replaced this summer. We were holding off because we could have used,
The bond,
because that was part
part of the
of it.
bond,
So some of that stuff is gonna change a little bit,
sure,
because we had to replace the HVAC unit last summer at the BoE building. Cause it finally went out, so that, some of it, but. I mean, it's not a.
The list is slowly getting smaller.
And then something else.
Yeah.
It's just,
When you put that freezer on.
We're gonna adjust.
There's just no cheap fixes where we
There's
are,
not.
there just isn't, everything is a lot of money.
especially when it's.
All right, so let's take the month. Everybody think about how we want to approach it.
Yep,
Talk to people.
I've got some ideas.
Okay. The next one in facilities is Ozaki facility space discussion. Red.
So. With. Keystone building their new facility, their timeline is that they will move out. In July. They think they're still on that timeline, but whether it's July, August, September. When they move out. We now pick up a lot of extra. Square footage in that building. So. We're 4 or 5 months away from deciding, or I think it's good to start having discussions within what is our plan for it.
And when you say space, this is their office space.
Yeah, all the office space, so when you walk in the front. When you turn the corner and go down the hallway, that's all preschool stuff. From there, so they still use the boardroom. you know, we can use it whenever we need, but they have offices in there, they have offices down the hall, the old bandit, all their administrative offices, that front room is their IT, so there is a lot of space that is gonna be wide open. So, I think it'd be good for the board to start thinking about, okay, what's our plan for it?
Especially those offices.
Do we have a lease agreement with the bank right now for the district office?
Yeah, but the bank is so nice, they're just like.
Is it
you
like
know,
a month thing at this point? 'Cause
Well,
you've done it for.
I think it's almost like a 6 month, but they've heard enough that they're just like, we just love having you here while you're here.
Mhm.
But I think it's about, and they don't charge us a lot, I mean, it's like, but it adds up, it's like 12,000. Like 1,100 a month, somewhere in that, it's 1,200 a month. So.
So we're thinking, or what we're thinking about discussing is Amy, Carla, you paying the
Well-
whole moving up there.
Well, one option is, we could save 12,000 a year. When I'm at the bank. And it's not the most logistical good setup, because we're all kind of around, but that's okay. We make it work, the boardroom's not. But we use it. But I've got to get in a vehicle to go to every building. Not that people like having me walking around the buildings, but it's still logistically, I gotta get up, get in the vehicle. And to drive to 4 different facilities. If we moved board offices over there, now I only have to get in the vehicle to drive to 3. And it doesn't matter whether I drive 1 mile to 3 or I drive 7 miles to 3, I still gotta get in the vehicle.
Yeah.
With the preschool there. It's like today. I'm on the phone and I come down the hall, I hear a kid having a crisis situation. When I come around the corner, Doug Anderson's there. So having the extra adults, especially one that's an administrator, adds value.
Sure.
And with them gone, putting 4 more adults back into there, one of them then an administrator, that adds administrative value. And so there's just logistical benefits to having adults, especially in preschool. To where if I'm at the bank, I'm not adding that value. So that's just one value to having adults there, especially an administrator. Because if that's where I'm at the whole time, now I only need to go to 3 different places. It also helps when the clerk of the
I was
board
gonna say is there.
is 7 miles away and we're trying, and now.
Walk over and talk to her instead of call her.
She might not like that very much.
It also can push off the point in time where at some point the preschool grows enough, you're gonna need a building administrator. That can delay that because I can take on a lot of those roles that I don't add any of that value when I'm sitting at the bank.
Sure.
So,
Yeah.
I mean, there's advantages, disadvantages.
And they're moving out this summer.
They gotta hang out with me more often. But we also have a nicer board office there than we do at the bank. We could have board meetings there. We could have board meetings in Meriden. We could have board meetings, you know, it just,
Mhm.
so there's, you know, if that will be open space
When do you
that
need us
we
to
own.
decide?
What's that?
When do we need to
Yeah, when do
decide
they-
that? Which-
Well, it's just, at some point, if the question was ever posed, well, what is your plan for all that space when they move out? What would be our answer? So it's early enough to start a conversation about, well, what would we want to do with that space? You
Those
know,
offices
What
are already
date are
set
they?
up for offices, so it's not like
What's
we would
that?
have to
What date
renovate.
are they leaving? When is their,
their timeline, if construction and everything to move out, late July. They would like to be moved over there by the time the school starts. Now, that all depends on construction.
so if we were to. And just, I'm just throwing this out there, I mean, if we were to start the new school year over there. How long? How long and how much renovation type stuff would it take to transition?
Oh, you know. They may still be there in August.
Okay.
It's like, once they move everything out, you know, I was talking to Doug today, he's like, do you want that? Do you want that? You just, when you leave, we'll get a roll-off dumpster here. And we'll pick through the things you like but, you know, it'll be a different setup because we have a different staff. But, you know, it's a good time to scrub the carpet, put a new fresh paint, you know, just before you start hanging stuff up. But I don't think it would take us much time. All of our furniture, the bank owns. Maybe they'll make us a good deal, or most of it.
Yeah, we don't even need to have a time frame. We just have to have a plan.
Yeah,
Well, here's what I was thinking, let's keep this. On the agenda.
Every time to discuss.
And
Just it's time to start thinking about when they move out. What would the board like to do with all that vacant space? And there's a lot, I mean, all those offices, office space. But like John said, you know, we're in no rush.
Sure.
It's just to start the conversation about, well, what would we want to use all that space for? You know, Amber Spice, our food service director. Because it's the preschool and startup, she spends most of her time there. Well, she's in that back, well, she could actually have a decent food service office.
Yeah.
So, but anyway, just, we're 5 months away from them moving out, wanted to start the conversation. What does the board just start thinking about? Well, we own it. What would we want to do with it? That's just
Yeah, I think
one
makes a lot of
option.
sense. I don't know what else you would do with it.
No, I like it and it would help with Wes, I mean, Wes is back and forth. Quite a bit over there.
Yeah.
Would that be disappointing?
It's the happiest building in the district.
It is that.
It
It is
the
that,
messiest.
it is that, but it would also help with,
It would free
Yeah.
Wes up from having to be over there as much.
yeah. Which would be good. Things moving along, we're in executive session, how long do you think we need? No,
Which one do we want?
we have
Personnel
personnel first on the agenda.
Okay. Probably. There's probably 30 minutes.
Yeah.
Oh.
I know us, 30 minutes.
Mr. President, I move to enter executive session.
Yeah, I'm gonna break for.
For KS 75-4319 for a period of 30 minutes at 8:50 PM to discuss personnel issues and non-elected personnel under COMA exception, including Dr. Newen Swander and admin.
As
For the-
needed.
As needed.
Yeah, we're picking them out in a minute.
With the open meeting to resume in the boardroom at 9:20 PM.
Second,
All in favor?
5 minutes.
Oh. Fine.
Damn it. I mean, when you're gonna fire a board clerk, it takes time. I mean, the other thing we
Hold
talked
on.
about.
I think it was you, Aaron, not me.
This isn't like a stack one, it's gonna be short.
Oh, okay. Well, I
This
think
is the personnel stuff.
Just take the basket.
This is personnel still, correct?
10 minutes.
10?
Yep.
Mr. President, I move to enter executive session per KSA 75-4319 for a period of 10 minutes starting at 9:20 PM to discuss personnel issues and non-elected personnel under COMA exception, including Dr. Newen Swander, with open meeting to resume in the boardroom at 9:30 PM.
Second.
All in favor? 7-0.
Thank you, guys.
Yes, they.
Mr. President, I move to enter executive session per KSA 75-4319 for a period of 10 minutes at 9:30 PM to discuss personnel issues and non-elected personnel under COMA exception with the open meeting to resume in the boardroom at 9:40 PM. Second.
All in favor? 7-0.
You two have a blast. Back there too. Thank you. It's sub lunch.
We'll have to go through each individual one, right?
Okay.
And say the name.
I
We good? Yep.
I motion to approve the assistant softball coach, Jen Wellman for this current season.
Second.
In favor?
No, wait, no, I'm sorry. I got it, I'm on the no.
Okay.
I motion to.
Hold on. Were you okay, 6-1.
Okay. I motion to approve the food service substitute L Foster for the middle school for the current school year. And
Second.
forward.
Second.
All in favor? 7-0.
And then do we need to do each individual one or?
For the extension?
Yes.
Okay.
And you go
So-
3 names and one and. We're probably gonna have to do individual.
Do it individual.
Okay, I motion to approve Brenna Dooley as the middle school principal or extend the contract for Brenna Dooley as middle school principal for,
2 years. It's or what it is.
okay, so I don't. Okay.
We have a second.
All in favor? 7-0.
I motion to approve Rhonda Frakes as the high school principal, extending the contract for Rhonda Frakes as the high school principal.
Second.
2 years.
For 2 years.
Second.
All in favor? 6-1.
I motion to approve Wes Sturgeon's contract as the elementary school and preschool principal. Or elementary school principal, is it tied
You
together?
can put the.
Yeah, for 2 years.
Yes. Second.
All in favor? 7-0.
I motion to extend Superintendent Brad Newen-Swanders for 3 years.
Second. Okay.
Period.
All in favor? 6-1.
Okay, how long do we need for
forgot about,
Or,
Oh, cold.
I motion to.
Holy.
Wait,
Bottom.
thank you.
That's your
I
bottom.
motion, I motion to extend the contract with Cole Bottom as the athletic director for 2 years.
Second.
All in favor? 7-0.
You really.
Okay, so now we got,
Oh gosh, we got another one.
yeah, we got
Negotiation.
negotiations executive session.
How long do we need for that?
A year.
15. Oh,
20.
half hour.
Okay. Mr. President, I move to enter executive session per KSA 75-4319 for a period of 30 minutes at 9:45 PM to discuss employer-employee negotiations under the coma exception, including Dr. Newen-Swander, with the open meeting to resume in the boardroom at 10:15 PM.
Second.
All in favor?
Reluctantly.
I know, I was gonna say.
Yeah,
I didn't sleep.
today sucks.
I got a second for 3 days.
I hate to be last.
Is that on?
You stole all the snacks.
Oh, I'm sorry.
The snacks then.
I couldn't move far.
Oh,
I bet Ernie.
What?
Nation?
yeah.
900. I already said I'm at the car.
Oh, yeah.
I guess that's an important vote. Negotiated agreement.
Bruce.
Well,
I guess we don't need to.
No, yeah.
What needs to be?
Did we save that? Oh, yeah, we have that one thing we were doing till 11:30.
My notifications and all.
Mine goes on.
Can't remember.
And that, like, just is like, hey, you get this power.
It's in, it was in my update.
Oh, I got it right here. Sorry.
Yeah, Kelly, please.
I'm on it.
I had it all on.
I move the board ratify the 2025-2026 negotiated agreement.
Second. On favor? 7. There we go. I believe what we are left with is superintendent report.
Please.
It's been in my Friday report, so I didn't have anything else to add.
My favorite.
Oh,
Okay.
that's you, big guy.
Oh, meeting adjourned. Oh,
Nothing else.
Get the heck.
well, I printed off this Friday, no.